Sure. I'll talk it out.
Yeah, let's just have a conversation.
Track 3.
Better not be fucking Dave Matthews Band.
Okay. Those of you who don't want to be a part of this can leave now.
Derek, please listen to me.
But if you choose to stay, which it seems like you guys are choosing,
Derek, please.
you understand and agree to the following terms and conditions.
Derek!
1.
Derek, this is the virus
You
talking.
hereby waive your right
Derek, please.
to your own personal bodily integrity.
This is not you.
2.
I'm a licensed...
Per the State versus Neville Reed, my colleague and I will not be held criminally liable for any felony or misdemeanor that you may be a victim of, including, but not limited to, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, disorderly conduct, destruction of property, mayhem, and first-degree murder. And 3, terms and conditions may change or be updated whenever the fuck I want! Consider yourselves notified.
For years, we've had to deal with Hollywood's woke onslaught of destructive agendas in their films. That changes today. That's why we launched Epicverse. At Epicverse, we care about excellent storytelling and respect for our fans. Things Hollywood has forgotten. So follow Epicverse wherever you can and tell your friends. We can't win without you. The comeback starts today. Will you join us?
What up, everyone? DJ Anubis here with you on the Metal Tire Radio podcast. I'm sitting down here with TDS, who has been lighting up X recently on Twitter and all that stuff, talking about various things and pissing off the world. How are you doing, sir? And thank you for joining me.
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very good. Very good. Before we get into the meat of the interview, I just want you to kind of like tell people who may not be familiar with you what you are, who you are, and what you're about. What's your channel about? What is it you do in terms of like your content?
Okay. Well, I am a therapist. I work primarily as a therapist. I'm also part of Epicverse as well, as you showed from the intro to this. I report on pop culture along with my wife, Writing Raven, who is goth. And so the idea, I did YouTube in the past a long time back and then left and didn't really plan to come back. And that's a whole long story, which we're not going to get into. But we rebranded the channel because it was going to be both of us. And she's goth, I'm a therapist. So we made our channel Gothic Therapy. And so we report on pop culture. We do it differently because we don't have a lot of free time. So we make videos. We make one video a week, usually on Sundays, that kind of summarizes some of the main topics from the past week so people can catch up. And we put out an occasional video once in a while on certain things. And right lately, I've been doing a series on bots on Twitter, promoting things for Disney, for Steady, you name it.
Okay. Now with this show that you do with your wife, like outside of like just talking about various things, like what is the main purpose of it? Is it like just giving out information, or because like you said, you're a therapist, so is there like ways for people to like ask you questions about, therapy or whatever? Like, is it like an assistance type thing, or what is the main purpose of it?
Well, we actually record the show. We don't do it live. We make a thing, and the idea there is to kind of just give our perspectives because, aside from me being a therapist and my wife being goth, we're also Orthodox Jewish,
Mhm.
and we grew up in a very sheltered environment. Not a bad way, but like a lot of people, our friends didn't have TV. It wasn't something like that. So we're a little more modern. We're a little more involved in the nerd kind of stuff now, and so we kind of don't necessarily fit perfectly into the quote unquote secular world, and we don't fit like perfectly into the Orthodox Judaism world either. And so it's kind of it's a thing where we cover a couple topics, we give our kind of takes on it, and none of it's scripted. My wife and I just kind of play off each other, like we normally do. And at the end of the video, what we'll do is we'll usually take the three. Right now, we used to do more topics, but now we do three, and we'll usually kind of relate them to the week, and then kind of relate them the week to a quote unquote mental illness,
Mhm.
and kind of like diagnose the week. We call it the diagnosis of the week. So it's a thing where you get a unique perspective. There's some memes interspersed with it as well that I make, and basically the idea is to give you some entertainment, to give you a recap of the week, and to also teach you something, and to not
Oh,
just be something where it's look. People have plenty of reasons to get mad at how pop culture is being portrayed and how things have been changed in regards to a lot of our favorite franchises. But we also try to keep it a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more like I'd rather poke fun at things than get angry. And so there are once in a while where we get passionate about things, but it's just kind of a unique perspective and kind of we wanted to put ourselves out there, and it seems to be doing pretty well.
nice. I'm happy for that. I want to check one out for sure. I haven't had a chance to check anything out yet, but definitely look forward to that. You and I also talked before we jumped on here about the bot hunting and stuff like that you recently picked up on. I'm very curious about that because, as we talked about, like during the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, Bot Sentinel came up about whether or not they were in league with, Amber Heard and stuff like that, and doing bot attacks and trying to like spam Johnny Depp stuff to try to make him look bad. For me, like in your view, how does bots play a factor and not just that, but anything else that we're seeing today? Because I know you've been kind of going back and forth with people about bots and stuff like that. So how does it play a factor in terms of websites and stuff like that?
It plays a huge role. I mean, let's be honest. Social media, especially in the past couple years, has taken off. It's taken off and become a huge thing. There are multiple platforms. There's influencers. There's all this kind of stuff. You can post something and it can go viral, and you could become a sensation overnight. That's how powerful social media can be. And with that in mind, you recognize that there are all these companies and organizations out there that will use social media to their own benefit. And we've recognized that they've also started viewing certain things with their own agendas, their own things they want to push, and to the detriment of the story. But if you are potentially why it's important to talk about these bots and to point them out is because we've always known that Disney and all these other people have done bots. And you mentioned, for example, even with the Amber Heard trial, that was also something we saw as well. But
Mhm.
keep in mind that this is something we always knew, but we didn't really have evidence. There wasn't hard evidence. Yeah, you could say, oh yeah, there's something weird here, there's something weird there, but there really wasn't receipts. And so my goal was to figure out and find these bots and give us the receipts that we needed because we knew it's happening. Let's prove it. Hard evidence is what we need. And so it took me months and months and months and months of research to find this. And long story short, my work paid off. And I not only found the bots that were going with, for Disney, but I've also found the same kind of system being used for Warner Brothers and other things as well. And especially on social media, public perception is very important. So if you have the potential to flick a switch and make things look more popular than it is, or to make it look like there's interaction on something that really nobody cares about, that's going to change public perception. Maybe not for people like us who are more aware, but if you're a normie, someone going online and you see something trending and you click on it and there's a bunch of people saying something, you're not going to look past the surface level. That's why I think it's really important to point this out. Not only point it out, but shine a light on it. Because even if it's something we knew, this needs to be called out now that we have the evidence.
Hey, I agree. Like, I remember one of the things that got brought up with the Amber Heard thing was like sometimes comments that were made on Twitter were not factual or not actual humans. Like they were just auto generated in some way, which I thought was really weird. But you're right. Like using bots, whether for good reasons or not, can affect how just an average person who gets on the media, social media, and they look at something, they think, "Oh my god, like the moon blew up," but there's no facts behind it. So it's kind of a dangerous game. So is it more of like you were doing sort of like data mining when trying to figure this out, or what was your process like?
So it's crazy if you think about it, but I'm actually I haven't disclosed yet exactly how I find these bots, but it required a lot of research. It required a lot of looking around, a lot of poking into different things. And as I said, I'm not going to go into details on it because with this kind of stuff, if I were to mention how I'm doing it and it became a thing where a bunch of people were doing it, not that it's a bad thing, but the idea here is that I've actually had, and I can confirm this for certain as of last night, I have had some former Twitter employees come forward about what I've found, and I've also had a former Disney executive who was fired, who has confirmed his identity with me. I'm not going to tell you who he is because he has a right to his privacy,
Right,
but
right.
he has come forward and confirmed that not only is this a thing that I'm right on the target, and I think it's really important to point this out. But as soon as I start making the way of finding it known, they're going to change it. And they already have. They've already started changing how the bots are active and how they're working. But again, it took a lot of analyzing, a lot of watching patterns, behaviors, and stuff. And because of my, maybe my work or because of just how I am, I was very able to, to pick up on those patterns. And now I can do it kind of almost instinctively.
Nice. That's awesome. I can't wait to read that report. That's gonna be pretty interesting.
Well, actually, if you don't mind, because I've actually done a
Yeah.
couple videos on this already.
Mhm.
I actually have, if you'd like, it's up to you. I actually have some of my findings here, if you want to see them.
Okay. Sure. Absolutely.
This is the most, this is what started it all. And I think this one is the most egregious use of bots that I've ever seen.
Let's look at this.
So as you can see here, this account goes by the handle Moodle Zoop. Now this account is currently, as of I last checked, it's restricted because it's been
Mhm.
caught for this. But as you can see, it posted out corporate profits are still the top concern of investors. Disney shares rose 11.5% after the company reported profits that exceeded analysts' expectations and raised its upcoming revenue forecast. Shares of chip manufacturer and designer ARM jumped 47.9%, thanks to higher than expected profits and an optimistic business outlook. Blah, 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 blah. Why is this important? Well, if you look, there's a bunch of people commenting, and they're all blue checkmark accounts. But as you can see, this post has 380 likes and 1.5 million
Million
views.
views.
That
Wow.
ratio doesn't make sense, but wait for it. You think this looks weird. You see these blue check marks responding, and as you can see, they're kind of speaking in variations of the same thing. You can kind of see, like, Disney's ARM profits are optimistic. Outlook makes me happy. The strong
Hmm.
performance at Disney and ARM boosts investor confidence, right? Basically, someone's trying to equate Disney's shares rising 11% by ARMS, which rose 47%. That's a crazy change. But if you're not
Mhm.
paying attention, you're seeing this. Now, here's the kicker. This is page 1. This is page 2. And again, these are all responding to the same original post. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm making that clear. Because it keeps going.
Jesus. Wow.
Yeah. As I said, this is the most egregious. It's 16 pages. And this is
Oh
just
my
on one
goodness.
post. Keep in mind, all of these are in
Right.
response to the same original post as I showed you, the one right here. As you can
Yeah.
see, this Moodle Zoop post has this amount of people and has only 380 likes, but it has over 200 comments from blue checkmark accounts, all saying variations of things like, I'm thrilled to see Disney's profits exceeding expectations. Disney and ARM surpass expectations. I'm really glad to see Disney's profits exceed expectations. Great news for Disney and ARM, cautious about rising bond yields. The positive business results are encouraging, but the rising bond yields are encouraging to the stock market. Disney's impressive profits and raised forecasts bring some much needed optimism to the market. Disney and ARM are smashing it with their profits. Like, you can clearly see that something's not right here. These are a bunch of accounts just responding and reiterating the same things over and over and over again to
Yeah, it's very
boost the post.
formulaic. Yeah.
Yep. And that's what I'm trying to point out. And this was the first thing that kicked off this whole thing for me, is that I actually met with a known Disney leaker, WDW Pro, and his team, and I revealed what I had found, and he was like, "Okay, well, this is great, but we need something more significant than that to start off with." And that's when I found this. But this is not just something doing with stocks. This is something they're doing with a lot of different things. So, as I said, here, like for example, there's a show that came out this morning, right?
Yeah.
Guess what? Here we go. Check this out. X-Men 97 just come out. This was posted a couple days ago. Excited for the 2-part premiere of Marvel's animation X-Men 97 on Disney Plus, right? This is one post with all these things, a response to them. Here's another post. And another post. And another post. And another one. Another one. And another one.
Jeez.
And another one. And another one. And it just keeps going. 11 pages of person making a post. Again, look, blue check marks. And you can see some of them don't have blue check marks. And I think honestly that they're hiding the blue check marks, because I believe, it's my opinion, that these people are using they're paying for Twitter Premium Plus, which allows you to have reply boosting, which would explain why, for example, here, this post makes no sense. 10 likes. These are all the comments on it. Okay, they're just one thing. 9.1K views. That makes absolutely no sense. There is no way that gets that much attention. But as you can see, can't wait for the new X-Men series. Looking forward to Prelude comic on March 7th. Can't wait for the X-Men 97 premiere. Thanks for the heads up. Can't wait for the dive into the X-Men series. Can't wait to the X-Men premiere. Can't wait for the premiere. Can't wait for the action-packed premiere. These are literally just bots spamming it over and over and over again. And I have them doing this for a bunch of shows, including Marvel shows. Like I have them doing it for the Marvels. I have them doing it for Echo. I have them doing it for Loki. I have them doing it for Secret Invasion. I have them doing it for a couple of their movies, Eternals, all this kind of stuff. And I have more coming. I mean, I have them doing it for their parks as well. They're also doing it for their comics they claim that are doing so well. They're doing it for that as well. And it's everywhere. It is absolutely everywhere. And I actually have, and I haven't revealed this yet, but I actually have a post that I found that has the most interactions I've ever found in one of these. The most interaction view rate. But it makes absolutely no sense because it has like no likes at all. It has like 10 comments and it has 8 million views.
That is nuts.
And that just makes absolutely no sense. The only explanation is bots. And we've known they were doing this. So this is not something new that we're looking at. But having kind of the receipts and being able to go, hey, look at this. There's something wrong here. And I know you probably have other questions you want to ask, but I want to share one more thing if I can.
Sure. No problem.
I want to share this because this is not just a thing that's happening recently. Okay? Let me see. I want to make sure I'm sharing the correct one. I think the correct one. Yeah. So look at this. These are all posts. I just recently did a video on Gina Carano, and we all know that she was kind of canceled from Disney Star Wars and canceled whatever. And basically, we always knew there was like this harassment campaign potentially, but we knew people were harassing her, but we never really had evidence of a campaign until now. Because if you look here, these are all posts that were made before she was fired up until the day that she was. So before and the day of. Take a look at these posts and tell me.
Saying, block me.
Now, here's the important part. What if I told you that everything you're looking at are not responses?
Oh, wow. How's that even
These
possible?
are random people tweeting out into the void, demanding that Gina block them. And you think this is just one page. It's not. It goes on and on and on and on.
God.
And wait, this obviously shows that there's some harassment, but here's the coolest thing. When I was looking through this, I found this.
Jesus.
as you can see, it says Twitter user at Gina Carano should block me. Now, nobody uses the name. No one says, "Oh, I'm a Twitter user." No one does this, right?
Yeah.
This was before
Right.
she was fired. So what happened here? Well, if we look at this and recognize that this is potentially a bot, what that means is that somebody left a command prompt in. The idea being, if you're programming a bot, you can tell it to target either people on Twitter or Instagram or YouTube or Facebook or whatever, right? So you'll put target Twitter user at Gina Carano and say this, right? But
Yeah.
instead, it said this. Now, in my video where I broke this down, I show that this account has some very strange activity and hasn't been active since 2022. And it seems very promotion-y. But all of these posts you'll see here, right? I also compared them to other actresses, including Rosario Dawson, who had some trouble with transphobia as well. And wanted to see, because I wanted to make sure, is this happening with everybody? Is this just a thing that people do? No. Rosario Dawson didn't even have a single one like this. Not one.
That's crazy.
So the reason this is the reason why I think this is so important is because I mean, you can argue, okay, maybe there's just something strange going on here with Gina, but there's obviously strangeness. But now, what's the worst part is that these people, whoever is behind this, who is doing this, are manipulating the blue check verification system on Twitter that was meant to make it very clear that, hey, this is a real person, right?
Yeah.
And again, I don't think Elon, implemented it well, but that was the point of it. It was supposed to be like, well, we want to know we're talking to verified people, right?
Right.
Someone
right.
is potentially, and I believe they're not just paying for Twitter Blue, they're paying for Twitter Premium Plus, which is even extra. So that means that potentially somebody who works for Disney or directly involved with Disney or indirectly involved with them is paying a ton of money out of pocket to pay for all these accounts to come up and either attack people or promote their shows and whatever. And it's just insane because, I mean, even just looking at this, like these aren't even blue check marks. These are before this was a thing. Even just looking at this, you can't deny there is something really weird going on here. Like this does not look normal behavior. Like even if people didn't like Gina, having pages and pages of these people doing it before she was fired up until the day that she was, this is clearly evidence that something was coordinated happening here.
Yeah.
And it's still happening. And they're using the blue checkmark system to mess with that. And so I think it's worth calling out and mentioning because this is something that needs to be addressed. We've known this is happening, but now we have evidence. Now we have proof. And I have more coming. And this is something that I think needs more attention. It needs more coverage because it's absolutely like anybody who says, oh, yeah, you guys are just minority, whatever. If we're the minority, why do you have to do this? If we're really that minuscule, there's no reason to bot your shows. There's no reason to do this. And here, I'll show you one more thing.
Sure.
And here we go. This is not just something that happens. I think it's also coordinated. For example, here you go. Let's show you this. This is someone, now you see there's no blue check marks. I believe they're hiding them. But let's see what this says. There was an article that came out right when the show, this is about Echo. So there was an article that came out right when the Echo show released, talking about how people wanted Echo to be a mutant. And I'm like, they're like, fans wanted him to be a mutant. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Nobody's talking about this. I've never seen a single post about it. Well, there are. And as you can see, move over, Wolverine. Echo's got the moves to rock the X-Men. Notice there's quotes. So it's quote, move over, blah, 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 and then end quote. And
everything's move over.
Yeah, but check this out. Look at this. I can't wait to see Echo bring some serious butt kicking to the X-Men. She's going to be a total game changer. # Marvel fan, end quote. Who does that? What are you quoting? Right. And my personal favorite, in the top right corner, Bush Jessica says, quote, move over, Avengers. Echo is ready to kick some mutant butts with the X-Men. # Loki. I mean, that's not the right show, but like this is being used, and I think so. We saw an article talking about how, Wolverine, she should be part of the X-Men, right? And we didn't see any of this, but there clearly is. Now I don't know if they're coordinated or not, but that's very substantial. And last thing I'll show you, and then I'll let you ask any questions you may have, because I know I just completely started just dropping a bunch of
Oh, that's
information.
good. That's what I wanted. The floor is yours. So,
But here we go. This is what's interesting. So you know that there's the proxy fight going on with Disney right now with Nelson Peltz, and they're trying to get people on the board, including
yeah.
Blackwell. This was posted a couple days ago, and I found this. As you can see, this is an account saying Blackwell's Capital brings expertise to the support of Disney. Discover more about their campaign and board nominees. And then you could see a bunch of people, exciting news. Oh, exciting development. Exciting to see this collaboration. Excited to see how this partnership will shape up. And this is just something about, and it didn't get a lot of views, right? But these are a bunch of blue check marks and variations of them going and trying to boost this up. And here's one. Let me see. I think this is the correct one. Let me see. Yeah, I think that's it. Take a look at this. This was posted about Nelson Peltz. Now, as you see on the side, those comments, there's 3 accounts that commented twice. So there's 5 people commenting. Okay, that's it. There are no more comments. There are no likes, and look at how many views it has.
Oh my god.
6.4 million. Let's play devil's advocate for a minute. Let's say somebody paid to promote this, right?
Mm-hmm.
There would be some likes. There'd be some retweets. There'd be some people in the comments going, screw Disney, or, oh, I like Nelson Peltz, or whatever. None of that. None.
Yep.
So explain it. Well, we see, and I actually had, as I said, I had some former Twitter employees reach out to me about this. And they basically said, you ever see those posts online that are people like posting out about The Last Jedi or whatever, and trying to like bait people like, oh, this thing that everybody hates, I love it. And they get like 70,000 likes and whatever, and you're like, this account has 500 people following him. Like, how in the world did this happen? Well, from what people tell me is that this former Twitter employee that reached out to me apparently was involved with banning these bots accounts, and it was always these accounts like that were paid by Disney and were boosted with bot activity and stuff like that. And I don't know if it's Disney directly. Keep in mind, I'm saying that I think it's someone indirectly involved with them or whatever. But these people are clearly going out there and just posting these things and getting boosted. And if you look at this post, I mean, I don't know what else you can look at it and say that there's evidence that there's something fishy going on here with the interaction rate. Because no likes, 6.4 million views, and you're telling me there's no likes? None?
Yeah, that's impossible. That is like virtually impossible.
Yeah, and as I said, I found one of these with 8 million. 8. And you look at this and go, okay, the only explanation is that there was 2 explanations. One, Twitter completely glitched out. I doubt it. Or 2, that somebody is using the mass amount of bots to boost interactions and views on posts and can do it with the flick of a switch. And that should terrify people, because you ask yourself, okay, you post something about a show that you don't like, or you criticism, and you get these accounts coming after you. Oh, you're terrible. You should die. All this kind of stuff. Are they real? Are they? We don't know. How can we? If they can do this with a flick of a switch, and we can't even know this, like, what else can they be doing?
Exactly. Yeah. That is.
And as I said, there's more to come. I have them doing it for their parks, for their comics, for other shows and movies, a bunch of stuff. And I've been monitoring this for months. So, yeah, sorry. I know it was a lot of information.
Oh, no, that's good. Good job on that, because that's very interesting. I think you're right. Like, we're at a stage now where, misinformation and disinformation is a problem, just not on social media, but mainstream media as well. So, the bot thing is a very telling thing. You showed a lot of good examples there of the proof that something's a little bit fishy out there that needs to be addressed.
And let's imagine for a minute. Let's take a minute. We don't know if this is Disney directly, but let's imagine that I do have a Disney executive, as I said, former Disney executive, who reached out to me and told me it is, and he knows what branch of Disney it is. And I'm not revealing that information yet because I haven't verified it 100%. But basically, it's not someone like Disney directly paying for it. It's going to be someone, paying. Someone involved indirectly with Disney, so they have plausible deniability. But let's say
it's like outsourced in some way.
Yeah, but think about this. Disney made this whole big hullabaloo about how we don't like what Elon Musk is posting. We're not going to advertise on Twitter anymore, right? And yet, these are not posts from like a month ago. These are posts from like recently. Like I have posts about the X-Men that were posted last week. Like, so someone's paying an abnormal amount of money to have these accounts boost up posts. Of course, they're not advertising. They don't have to. They can be much cheaper for them to pay some bot farm and have them
Mhm.
just do it for them.
Yep. That's insane. Jesus. Whew, that's a lot to take in.
Yeah, and I've been doing my best to get word out about it. I think, and I don't blame people, but I think we've known this for a long time. So I think that a lot of people are just kind of looking at the headline and kind of saying, "Okay, we know this already." But like,
Yeah, I think part of it though is that we've all seen it. Like even myself, like I've seen it, but I think you have a good point that unless people understand it and how it works, it'd be a bigger deal. And I think that's part of the problem is that most people don't know how exactly it works. So the more information you're able to get out there, I think the more it's going to pick up steam because that's really the biggest issue. I think is because for me, like when I saw the whole bot sentinel thing, I'm like, what the hell is going on? What is this even about? And how does it work? And then, aside from the fact that the trial proved everything I thought it would, eventually it's like I kind of forgot about the bot stuff until you started bringing it up. And I'm like, well, this is coming back up. So there's got to be something to this. It has to be a big factor in a lot of this. So,
yeah, and we have a trial coming up. We have Gina Carano is going to go against Lucasfilm. I have a feeling they're going to try as much as they can to settle it because imagine what can come up in discovery, emails,
yeah.
all this stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine if this gets proven correct. It's like people might think, oh, that's unlikely. We just had HBO get caught doing it not that long ago. There was the whole thing where the guy's like, oh, yeah, I made troll accounts to get back at people I didn't like critiquing my stuff. It's a thing. We know it's a thing. But this is
Yeah.
even worse because these bots are doing something different. These are not the same kind of bots. This is someone manipulating the blue checkmark system and using the reply boosting feature to literally get these posts to manipulate public trends. And I don't know if that's necessarily illegal, mind you, but I definitely think it's questionable and it's something that should be known and pointed out. And so I've been doing my best to find them and put my information out there. But as I said, this is a massive, massive campaign. This is clearly someone is putting a significant amount of money behind this, and I want to know who. If it's not Disney, then who is it and why?
Yep. Yeah. And yeah, that's Jesus. Let's just say it's not Disney for a minute. I mean, just somebody with more of an agenda or narrative to try to, because we've been talking about the whole like woke gaming stuff and the woke Hollywood stuff. And so if it's just somebody who's trying to push an agenda, then
Yeah.
that's that's a little bit more nefarious,
Yeah, because think about it. That means there's a potential like billionaire who's just spending a bunch of money to do this just because they want to be right. And again,
Yep.
this proves, if anything, it proves 100% that every day we say, "Oh no, you're the minority. You're the minority. You're not important." Right? Well, if
Yep.
we're the minority and we're not important, then why do you have to do this? If we're that
Yeah.
tiny and we don't matter, then why do we have to do that? For example, I'm going to bring up a current example. They just reported that the Acolyte trailer has more dislikes on it than likes now. I thought we were the minority. I thought we didn't matter.
Yeah.
But
Well,
they'll
I've been
claim
hearing that
bots.
the whole time during this Sweet Baby Ink stuff. They keep saying that, that group that was with Cabrutus and them is that like, well, they're just small and minority, but yeah, they really made a big deal about it. They had a real big problem about it.
I will tell you, and I've been looking into this, so I don't have any evidence yet. But I'm reason to believe that they're using bots to promote Sweet Baby stuff as well.
I believe it.
Because I already caught them. I already caught them doing it for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I have a video where I've caught them doing it, and I love it. They're like, Suicide Squad is a masterpiece and it owns the haters.
Oh
It's
God.
like that's clearly someone doing this to be like, well, screw you that you don't like it. Please like our game. Please buy our game. Then if they're doing it for Suicide Squad, I would not be surprised if they're doing it for Sweet Baby. I'm still researching at that, and if I find something more significant, I'll obviously put it out there. But this is crazy. They can just manipulate public perception with a flick of a switch. And we know about this, but now we have evidence. So what are we going to do with it? Are we just going to sit here and let them get away with it?
Can't let them do that, man. That's because the bad thing about it all is that if it's just for something as simple as like gaming or movies or whatever, think about when it goes into politics or something more effective that affects a great many people. uh you just don't want that. That's this is You got to get it now. You got to nip it in the bud, right? And get it all out of here and expose it, because like otherwise could do a lot more damage. All right, well, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the epic verse. Obviously you kind of are just on the back end of this particular thing, but
Hmm?
uh how did that come about? Is that strictly for the Hollywood stuff, or is it going to affect the gaming part too, do you think?
I don't think there's any plans for gaming as of yet. I don't know. I would
Mhm.
not be surprised if that changes, but as of now, we're just trying to kind of make films and stuff out there because we everybody always says, well, if you don't like this, go make something new. Go make something new. Go make something new. Okay, fine, we're making something new. Well, we hate it anyways. Okay, well, we can't win it. Can't win with everybody, but at least we're doing something, you know?
Right. Yeah, it was funny because I listened a little bit to the Phoenix Press interview you did about 3 months ago. And you said something that was really cool, because I totally agreed with you about Ghostbusters 2016, because I had done a review on that and I remember all the hoopla about it. And I agreed with you. I thought the actresses were not the problem. I thought it was like a crappy script. The studio basically didn't get the three guys they wanted, so they settled for these actresses and just handed them a shit sandwich and said, "Hey, make it work." And then, of course, it didn't, and then they took a lot of the heat for it. But I don't think it was their fault. I think it's just really bad script. But that just goes to show that Hollywood is kind of getting lazy with their writing and everything.
It's a real shame because it people think like, oh, well, you just hate Hollywood. No, I don't. I love so many movies. My favorite movie trilogy is Back to the Future. I love that. Why? It was an original idea. It didn't have source material. They made it work. Was it perfect? No. But it's my favorite movie trilogy of all time because it tells a story from beginning to end. There's plot growth, there's all this stuff. We don't get that anymore. Now it's an adaptation of this, or it's a sequel of that, or it's this agenda that. And I'm like, I don't want that. I want movies again. Just give me a good movie.
Yeah, I think one of my biggest issues, and it's I know it's hard sometimes to even explain yourself on a social media, because you're not talking to someone like we are now. It's more of like we're just typing stuff out. But you know, there is nuance to this whole thing. So for me, like I don't have a problem if people want to put in diversity and inclusion. I'm sure you don't either. But there has to be a way you go about it without making that the priority. So basically, you want a strong story that has some of this stuff in it, and it's an enjoyable movie that people can enjoy and be entertained with. But if you don't have a good story and you're trying to make the agenda and narrative the focus, then it never really works. And I think a lot of the movies that we all complain about happen to be built that way. Like they're not really creating good stories.
Exactly. What I like to say now, and this is just my opinion, mind you, I don't have any like conclusive evidence of this, but this is just what
Right.
my opinion. I believe that movies now are made in two ways in Hollywood. Well, actually, three. I would say three. One is just blatant cash grabs that are just garbage and they're just made for to get money out there, and that's always been a thing. But now we
Mhm.
get these movies that are either completely they have an idea for an agenda they want to push, and they make the entire movie based around the agenda, and then they put the people in it. So they're like, okay, I want to push BLM, let's say, right? I want to push that. So
Yeah.
I'm going to make a movie that's going to be about that, and then I'm going to just have a story. It doesn't work. You need a foundation that's actually the. So that's the first way. They make this agenda become the foundation, and then the story falls apart. Second way is they take things that people already like, that we know they like. How
Yeah.
can I inject this into it at the detriment of the story? So, for example, it's not just I'll suddenly change this or I'll suddenly change that. It's how can I make this the forefront? The best example I will say is The Witcher Blood Origins. I'm bringing that up because I don't know if you saw the marketing for that. One of the
Uh,
things
Yeah, I didn't see the marketing, but I do. Well, I saw some of it, not a lot of it. I
Well, I'll
watched the
tell you.
series, but then that fell apart because Cavill, like, they tried to force him out of that, and then everyone hated Origins. I just didn't watch it, but everyone hated it.
But, you didn't the marketing around it was ridiculous. They literally had where they were showing, like, 10 reasons you should watch Witcher Blood Origin, and, like, reason, 2 was, like, there's the first kiss between 2 men in the Witcher universe, and it's like, how about the plot? How about the story? Explain to me why I should be invested in this. Well, we have 2 men kissing. You should come watch this. And it's like, do you ever hear a movie where someone goes, attention, we have a straight white male in this movie, and he's in a relationship with another white woman, and you should come
Yep.
see it because it's a relationship? No. And if you're trying to normalize something and you're trying to make it seem like everybody's normal, everybody's the same, then you do it and you don't say a word. You just do it. If you're highlighting it, then you never really cared because what you wanted was a marketing point. You wanted to point it out there and say, look, we want to be special, treat us special, and not, hey, this is just something we want to add in. A good example, I know there was some controversy around this, so I'm treading carefully, but One Piece live action, right? There was
Right.
an actor or whatever they go by in it that was transgender, right? Did they
Mhm.
change the character to make them trans? They went, no, they just played the character. Now I know there was some issues with it in the early childhood for them and whatever. I'm not getting into all that, but the point I'm making is some people didn't watch because of that, and that's fair. There will always be. But a lot of
Mhm.
people didn't care because it wasn't made a point of the show. They just did a good job. Like, I don't care if you're transgender. I don't care if you're whatever. If you do a good job and you just don't make it your big point. If you can't stop talking about how your gender's this, you're this, whatever, and that's the movie, I'm not watching it. So yes, I didn't. I'm sure I'm sure the person's nice. I'm sure a lot of these people, even some of them who are like making gender these things, I'm sure some of them are nice people, maybe genuinely want things, but like all they need to do is do it organically. It all it needs to be done is organically, and they've lost the ability to do that. And so now we get all these slop, and we're told, well, if you don't like it, you're this, you're that, and it's like I'm just done with this. This is so stupid. It's okay to say, hey, I don't like this. Remember when fandom used to be a thing where we can have a discussion? Oh, I
Yeah.
like, some people didn't like Star Wars prequels, right? Let's have a discussion. I like this and I like this and I like this. What didn't you like? Well, I didn't like young Anakin and he said this and he used wizard and he said, are you an angel? And it was creepy and cringe and I didn't like it. Oh, cool. Yeah, I liked it kind of because I felt like he did a good job, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's a discussion. That's fandom. Where did that go? Now it's like, if you don't unequivocally love this, you're a terrible person. And it's like, but we used to have criticism. It used to be okay to do that.
Mhm. Yeah, it's funny because you brought up about how people misread you or something when it comes to transgender or like people of color, whatever. So I had an incident happen. Do you remember when the Hellraiser reboot happened?
Vaguely.
Okay, so anyway, Hulu was doing a reboot of the Hellraiser, and the main villain, Pinhead, was going to be played by a trans actress, which is fine. The movie was like a 7 out of 10, so I didn't have any real problems with it after I saw it. But they were promoting it, saying, "Hey, yeah, Hellraiser to be released this date with trans actress," and I forget her name, but they threw that in there. And I made a comment on Facebook. I was like, basically at Hulu, I was defending the actress. I said, I'm pretty sure the trans actress would rather just be called actress. I don't think they really want you to like go out of your way to like kind of exploit or pander to the fact that she's a trans. Like if she's trying to promote this movie, I'm sure she wants to be treated as like any normal actress and be just called an actress. So naturally there was a trans person that saw my post and like came at me and was angry. And I was trying to explain my side. I was like, I'm actually defending the actress. Like I'm like, the reality is like they're trying so hard to be a part of normal society, and when you have your company who's releasing their movie and they're like going out of their way to point that fact out, like you were talking about earlier, it's like you're taking all the focus away from a movie that should be good, and you're trying to focus on something that's not even important to the movie. It's like she's just an actress.
Yeah.
So it's just really weird at how people, like, again, they don't have any kind of nuance or don't really understand that you really don't have a problem with the person. It's like, sure, you're right. There are some people that are gonna be like, well, I'm not really interested in this because whether or not I have faith or whatever, it's just not me. But for most people, they're just kind of like, well, we don't care that she's trans. We just hope it's a fucking good movie. It's really what it
Exactly.
comes down to, right?
That's all we need. Look, I don't care what gender you identify as or whatever. If you're just gonna go in there and you're gonna be like, I am going to make everybody, I'm gonna act my socks off. I'm gonna make play this character, even if it's a crappy script. And it's just like
Yep.
you're gonna play my socks off. I'm gonna do whatever. Like, let's be honest here. Here's a good example. The Sonic movies. I like
Mhm.
them. Are they the best movie ever? No, not really. Are they decent? Yeah. Did they listen to fans? Yes. What makes the movie the most compelling? Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik. He does the most amazing job with that. And that's what's so an actor, an actress can sell an entire movie. You just don't imagine if imagine like going, well, we have straight white male Jim Carrey in this. No one cares. Nobody
Right.
cares. Just please give me some plot. Explain to me why I should watch this. Tell me what this is about. Don't give everything away. Don't overdo it. But like, tell me, Dr. Robotnik's coming back. Jim Carrey, his beloved role, is coming back to the film. That gets me interested. I want to see it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's so simple, and it's they've lost the ability to do that, and it's so sad.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of like Disney's mistakes with a lot of stuff they're doing. So, Little Mermaid, you have a young black actress playing Ariel. It's like, sure, there are going to be people pushing back. But it's because it's a beloved story and from their childhoods, and it wasn't a black actress to start with. But Disney again went out of their way to kind of like promote the young actress and saying that it's the first time ever or something like that. It's like,
They always do that.
yeah, and so you're taking away from, again, just advertise it as a movie and let that tell your story and get people interested. Don't worry about the other part of it. Like, it's just crazy. I don't know. I don't really understand their thinking on a lot of this stuff. Like, it's funny because they're losing money. They have to be. Some of these Marvel movies are just not making what they put into them, and so it's like, are you guys not learning from the mistakes here, or what's going on? Like, I'd be pissed off if I was the owner of Disney. I'd be like, something's got to change here. I don't want to be losing money.
Yeah, they're apparently. I've been told that, and it's not surprising, but they've lost a lot of money. They lost
Yeah,
a lot of money, and there was even a
yeah,
point where, and again, I'm saying this. This is known information, but not really. There was even a point where they were going to sell their parks. They were that bad. They were going to sell it, and a couple of their parks actually people don't know. Tokyo Disney is not owned by Disney. Let me see. Actually, I remember the name of what it was. Let me see. I have it right here. It's owned by Oriental Land Company. It is along with Disney Sea Park. So Tokyo Disney and Disney Sea Park are both owned by Oriental Land Company, and they just license the IP to them. They don't own it, and they were planning to do that back when all the stuff happened with Bob Iger and Bob Chapek in Florida and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
All that stuff happened. They were in a really bad place. They were planning to sell them all off to that same place and then just license the IP to them. And that was an actual thing. They got their butts saved by Iger coming back.
Yep. Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. It's getting crazy there with that company because, again, like, I see some of these, companies in Asia, like Japan and all that, they're all, or in Europe and stuff, they're all making pretty good movies and they're not worrying about the whole woke part of it. And they're going to leave America behind if they keep doing this.
I agree.
So with the Gina Carano stuff, you had a lot you wanted to talk about with that.
Yeah, what I was saying was that as I showed you with the tweets, I recognize that Gina. We all recognize that Gina was treated unfairly. There were
Yep.
people posting similar things and whatever. And what bugs me the most about it is I'm Orthodox Jewish. They keep calling her anti-Semitic, and she's not. She's clearly not. And
Right.
it bugs me because it's like you're going to tell me that I should be offended by something that I shouldn't be offended by. But you're telling me I need to be offended by it, and that's ridiculous. So I'm going to prove that not only is this a load of crap, but that there was actually something going on here. And as you can see from those posts, that was not normal. I compared it to 3 different people, including J.K. Rowling as one of them. You'd think J.K. Rowling's getting a ton of those. Nope, none. So explain that. Explain that to me. You're
Right.
going to tell me nothing was going on there when you see the 7 pages of tweets like that? And then there's one that looks like a bot and the account looks like a bot? And then how many more were there? We don't know any of this stuff. And it's a shame that all they need to do is give us good movies. All they need to do is just do good movies and just be welcoming of other people's opinions. And if they had done that, Gina was actually, I'll say this, I'll go on record and say this. I think Gina was the last hope that Star Wars had. Because with she being part of it, and yes, I will address that in the beginning, some people were not very open to her, 100%. But opinions change. They do.
Hmm.
And she was changing opinions and changing minds. And I actually watched The Mandalorian season 1 because of Gina.
Yeah, I thought I
Literally,
was one of those people that was kind of concerned when I saw her because she's a big girl, and I didn't even know she was in the MMA before that. But one thing I did notice, and it comes back to what you were just saying, is that as the season went on, I noticed that the writing of Cara Dune was very, very well done. And
exactly.
I started to warm up to her because then I saw they weren't trying to use her as like some sort of agenda or narrative. Like they wrote just a good character. And I think was it Favreau? Is that the guy?
I
Uh,
believe, I think it's either Favreau or Filoni. I don't know.
yeah, but they were very big in endorsing her to do that role. So I'm like, well, then they did a good job. So it is sad that like in the end they were just cutting her with no like remorse or anything. It's like that's fucked up, because I know some of the other actors like Pedro and them were saying some controversial things here and there. And then I've been reading like recently that they wanted her to start throwing in the pronouns in her bio. And I'm like, and I kind of get what she's saying now because when she was saying that people were becoming robotic, bots maybe.
Well,
She
it
said,
seems like there might be. I mean, that Twitter
right,
user thing was pretty convincing.
right. So I'm actually very happy that Musk is like, backing her up on this. I think she has a good case for her. But yeah, she has her own opinions. Like right now, we're kind of losing touch with the freedom just to have a different opinion. People think that, oh, if like, I'm not even Christian, but if I was and I just didn't agree with the lifestyle, but I don't care if people are trans or gay or whatever, they want to just live their life, I'm fine with that. But I can have my opinion about it without people calling me, a bigot or a racist or whatever. Like, I just think that's so childish and it's so weak in terms of argumentation. So I don't know what your thought on all that is either. Like, I just think we're just getting to a point where people are not allowing people just to have different opinions. So, like Gina, if she doesn't
Yeah.
want to put pronouns in her bio, she should be free not to do that.
I think that the thing I will always say is that I think that we've lost the ability to agree to disagree.
Mhm.
That's not a thing anymore. And it's such a shame because, look, I can have a different opinion than you, and you can have a different opinion than me, and we can still be friends. Just because
Yep.
I don't like a movie, whatever, we don't have to be enemies. We don't. But now it's if you don't like what I like, you're an enemy. And it's like, why? Why? I'm not an enemy. I'm just a normal person. I have a different opinion. What's the problem?
Yep.
You know? It's a thing. Like, if imagine if they had just said, "Oh, you know what? Okay, you recognize, you say, oh, I respect trans people, but I don't want to put them in my bio, and I didn't mean anything by the beep bop boop or whatever." That should have been it. But no, 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 we need to cancel you. It's not bad enough that you didn't do what we wanted you. We need to make sure you an example. We need to make sure that you get shown that this is what happens if you stand up against us. By the way, the same people who claim that they want to be treated equally as everybody else demand that everybody else treats them special, which is completely the
Yep.
opposite, but that's just me. So
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that in the Sweet Baby Ink stuff because they're throwing out this and this at all these people, and then like they're saying we're harassing them, but they're the ones that are actually doing all the harassing, and then they're the ones with these web zines that are backing them and writing all this crap, not even mentioning how it all started. They're just totally omitting all that.
Yeah.
Just going with, yeah, these are just a hate group. I'm like, what? How did we get there? Like, that's not even how it all started. Like, what are you talking about?
And
It's
I
just
wish
insane.
I wish they at least would like, look, if they don't like it and they want us to call it harassment, fine, but you need to address the other side first. You can't just say, well, they started it. No, 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 no. You need to do your due diligence and mention how Chris Kindred went after Cabrutus first. You need to mention that. If someone would mention that and then say that they thought it was harassment, at least I could respect that they were willing to hear both sides. If you're going to admit it just because you don't like it and it doesn't fit the narrative, then you're just explaining a lot about yourself.
Yeah, I saw. Did you see that recent piece from Ash Parrish from Verge?
I
She
did.
wrote. She wrote.
And
Yeah,
she wrote how
writing
she
that.
purposely, deliberately left it out because she didn't like it. Like you can't be a journalist if you do that. I'm
Right.
sorry, you don't get to
She's
do
like.
that.
She's
Like
like. What was the word? She said that. I didn't feel like it was important to the story. I'm like, are you kidding me? Your job. You have one job, is to make sure you're right from an objective piece about how this all transpired, and you left out a core piece of it because you felt like it wasn't important. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Oh,
it's
yeah, I don't
insane.
know.
It's insane. Look, here's my hope, and here's my hope. I think that the fact that the bots and the fact that stuff is going on Sweet Baby and all this kind of stuff, people will say otherwise, but the pendulum is swinging. It is
Yeah,
100%. And all I can hope is that we just have to keep at it. If we're really not a threat, there wouldn't be all this reasoning. They wouldn't be freaking out about Sweet Baby Inc. They wouldn't be freaking out about using bots to promote. There wouldn't be any of that. So if they have to go to all these lengths to do this stuff and have to be covert and hiding and freaking out whenever we call them out, that means that we're having an impact. And
yep,
if we keep that up, eventually they're going to have to yield. And I'm not trying to say that we should brute force things. I wish we could have more diplomatic solutions, but they don't want to hear it. They don't come into a discussion wanting to have a discussion. They want to have a monologue. They want to tell you how you should believe, and you just need to listen to them. And they don't want to hear a single thing you have to say. And that's not a discussion. That's a monologue. And if you're going to monologue at somebody, you literally they're not going to take you seriously. You're not going to win. And there's no point in having a discussion. I've even had where some people come after me on Twitter and they get mad at me about something and I try to explain it. And they're like, oh, well, you're blah, 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 and they find a reason why it's bad. So I've just started doing like, let's just skip to the part where you block me and whatever, because your mind's clearly made up and nothing I'm going to say is going to matter. So why are you even asking? Like you make it seem like you care, but if anything I bring up, you're going to tell me, no, 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 this is why you're actually a bigot. And it's like, so why bother? Why even ask? If you decided I was a bigot, then let's not waste each other's time. Let's just get to the part where you call me a bigot and I go, okay, whatever, and just move on with my life.
right. Yeah, it's just a big circle jerk right now, and it's like they don't. Again, nobody wants to take the time to listen to each other. They're just talking past each other, and it's just a waste of time. It's too
It's a
bad.
shame.
It's too bad. Yeah.
Used to be some
Well,
great discussions.
yeah. Yeah, because there really is a lot of, there are a lot of people that make great points, but people just don't want to take the time to read them or even like talk it out. They're just, nope, stuck. They dig their heels in, and that's it.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a real shame. I'm hope for one day we can get back to that point where we can have discussions again. I would love to see people respectfully, engage in discussions. I love this property. Well, I hate this. Let's talk about it. Let's treat each other like people. Those are the most enjoyable and engaging conversations to watch, and they're so fleeting now.
And I
So
think that's the interesting thing because I don't know who brought it up initially, but with the whole SBI thing, like if Kindred had just come to Cabrutus and said, I see you're making this list about the games we're working on, and you don't seem to be pretty happy with, but I think we should have a good discussion on this, and we try to explain our side of what we're trying to do. But that wasn't how they approached it. Like they just totally attacked them, try to get them banned, try to get them removed, and it's like, what do you expect for people like the pushback is very legit. Like we have a right to be pissed, as gamers. Like it's not fair for you to come and attack us and then come back later and say, well, we should have just talked it out. Well, yeah, you should have tried that first.
yeah, I wish. I just wish we get to the point where we can just get back to discussions. So a lot of things would be, I think a lot of things would be different if we just were able to get to the point with we could just have discussions again. I miss it.
Yep. Well, that's about all I have for you, bro. You want to tell people what you got coming up? Anything that, like, you talked about the bot stuff? Do you know when you're going to be releasing all that, or?
So I've released at least 4 or 5 videos. One of them's on Warner Brothers, so I don't count it the same. But I've released 4 videos on the Disney bots, one on the Warner Brothers one, and I have more coming. I don't have an estimated time of when the next one is coming because there's a couple Jewish holidays coming up, and then there's some stuff happening in April that's going to make it a little more difficult. I would like to say that I'll have it out probably before the end of April, but I can't. I'm not sure. But the next one I'm going into is I want to reveal that they've been using this to bot their parks and resorts. And they've been doing the same kind of thing, bunches of posts with bunches of bots responding, boosting up these things. I have a bunch of them, and I want to share that. And then I want to go into the comics, and then from there into a couple other areas. And then, we'll see what else I dig up. It might change. As I said, like, for example, I'm looking into seeing if Sweet Baby Inc. is doing any botting. And if I find anything on that, obviously my agenda may change.
I wonder if they're doing it with the webzine stuff. I have a feeling they might be. I don't have any proof, but obviously I have a sneaky suspicion they might be doing that.
If I can find it, I'm looking into it. It's a lot of work. So
Yeah,
I appreciate you giving me the
like
time to even come on and to talk about this, because I think I appreciate it, because it took a lot of my time and effort to make this possible, to show what we have. And so, I'm going to keep doing it regardless of whether I get attention or not. But anytime someone says, "Hey, I want to hear what you have to say. I want to listen to what you have to say," I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad you came on. Like, I'm glad you're asking people to sit down and talk with you, because I think it is important. And so if I can help out in any way, that's what I want to do. So even when you start sharing it on X or whatever, I'm going to start sharing your stuff and try to get the word out there, because it is a big issue that needs to be addressed.
I just had yesterday, like, the Acolyte just came out, and this was the dumbest thing ever. There are a couple posts getting a lot of attention for Star Wars for Acolyte. One of them was mine. Then an account responds to me. It's a blue check mark, just responding with the Acolyte trailer. And I'm like, that's weird. And I look, and they're responding to every single post, getting attention from Star Wars, and it's just them responding with over and over and over and over again on every post that's Star Wars related that's gaining any attention. And I'm like, this is nuts. Imagine how stupid you must be to comment on the post of someone who's literally been making a whole series, showing people that, hey, Disney's using bots or whatever. It's like, oh, surprise, you just commented on my post. Time for me to expose that. So, but like, it's still going. It's an ongoing thing. The bots.
I wonder if it means that they don't have any real control. So like you said, if they released a trailer, but then they put in whatever directions for the bot. I don't know how it works, but
I've heard multiple things. This one I actually think was a bot, but I also think they know they messed up, because immediately, my post was the last one they spammed the Acolyte trailer on. Immediately after that, they literally just started spamming a bunch of their stuff and posting a bunch of their stuff, like they were trying to hide it. But I caught them. I caught them too quickly. So I'm like, no, you don't get to run away. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but I do believe, I've been told by people that we have been ruffling some feathers. I plan to keep doing it. Until eventually I ruffle the feathers, until eventually we find the chicken.
Mm-hmm. Well, good job, man. I appreciate all your hard work for sure. And then we'll have to talk again down the road.
Sure.
All right, TDS. Well, thanks again. Hang around a quick minute. For the rest of you, I'm gonna be on Fat Samurai Guy's channel tomorrow. We're doing a versus between Bullet in the Head and Eastern Condors. So if you're into like battle of the movies, we got a big panel that we're gonna be talking about, debating that. Friday, Mr. Kevin Lambert of the Entertainment Headquarters and I will be doing a review of Damsel on Netflix. And then we're also going to be doing our review for Kill Command for my Cinematic Synergy segment. So be sure to check those out. Again, thank you, TDS, for being here. For the rest of you, thanks. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. definitely hit up Mr. TDS here. Follow him, please. Give all the support and share his stuff because it's very important work. And we'll see you here next time on the Middletown Radio Podcast.